He was mocked at breakfast by the two people he gave everything to. They laughed, called him the man who just paid the bills. He didn't argue. He smiled and started building their downfall, brick by silent brick. And by the time they realized what he'd done, it was already over. Let's begin. It was a Sunday like any other in Ashwood, Maine, a town where porch lights twinkle by dusk and maple leaves fall in silence. Inside the Mercer household, bacon sizzled in the pan, and the hum of a morning call filled the kitchen. "I'm telling you, Felicia, I run this house," said Lydia Mercer, sipping from her oversized mug while on speaker with her sister. "Connor? Please. He just pays the bills." She laughed, loud, bold, like she'd just delivered a punchline. And their teenage son, Noah, didn't even flinch. He nodded, chewing his scrambled eggs. "She's right, you know," he added with a chuckle. "You do just pay the bills." Connor Mercer didn't respond. He didn't slam his mug or demand respect. He sat still, coffee halfway to his lips, and in that moment, something shifted. Not on the surface. Deep inside, quiet as a whisper, sharp as a snap bone. He excused himself without a word, walked past the sun-drenched patio, and stepped into the shed, the one nobody but him ever entered. Hidden behind lawn gear and busted pool equipment sat a green filing cabinet. Inside, 3 drawers guarded 15 years of contingency plans. Plan B was not a fantasy. It was detailed, deadly, ready. He reviewed everything with clinical detachment. Legal documents, passwords, a notarized power of attorney, backup identification, and a digital trail from every dollar he'd earned since 2010. And at the heart of it all, a folder labeled in red ink, Exit Protocol. Lydia had mistaken his silence for compliance. But Connor wasn't silent because he was weak. He was silent because he was watching, measuring, preparing. That very afternoon, while Lydia babbled about teak furniture and modern coastal accents, Connor logged into a joint account she had long forgotten about. The password hadn't changed in over a decade. Her birthday, with a question mark, added out of sarcasm last year. Balance, $742,126. Untouched. She had no idea it was still active. Within minutes, he transferred every cent to a private trust under a shell LLC named after his late mother's maiden name, Callaway Holdings. Lydia couldn't see it, couldn't touch it, couldn't even prove it existed. That night, she poured herself a second glass of Pinot Grigio and stood by the glass door. "We really need to redo this deck," she muttered. "Maybe something more coastal chic, like what Felicia did. Gray cushions, maybe teak." Connor smiled at the television. "Yeah, maybe next month." She was already scrolling Pinterest, not knowing the credit card she just used to buy throw pillows had been downgraded to a cash-secure placeholder with a $500 cap. Just enough to function, just enough to avoid detection. By 11:30 p.m., Connor had booked a long-term stay under the name Ray Thomas. Paid in full. No ID required. He activated a burner phone. It arrived the next morning at a P.O. box she never knew existed. Then, the black leather notebook opened once again. Trust fully funded. Lydia financially locked out. New ID/alias secured. Observe Noah's loyalty, currently idolizing Lydia. Begins silent detachment. No arguments. No confrontations. Just precision. Connor was once called boring. No adventure, she'd said. No spontaneity. But now, she was about to learn that methodical destruction could be the most thrilling act of all. And the first domino fell on a seemingly normal Tuesday. It started with a phone call while Connor was standing in the plumbing aisle at Lowe's, browsing water filters. "Hey," Lydia said casually but clipped. "Something weird. My card just declined a green grow. Had to put the wine back." She laughed, but it was tight. "Nervous. Can you check with the bank?" Connor stared at the row of filters like they were scripture, then delivered the most versatile lie in his arsenal. "Huh, must be a bank error. I'll look into it." That line had served him well. It was neutral, disarming. Lydia didn't press. She never did. "Okay, cool. Probably nothing. Love you." Click. But it wasn't a bank error. It was Connor's firewall, meticulously designed to keep her afloat just long enough to not panic, while he slowly rerouted every stream of income and control into a trust structure with legal teeth. The joint checking account still existed, but its balance was kept low, and every automatic deposit now landed in a separate funnel. Lydia was drip-fed. Gas money here, grocery allowance there, just enough to keep the water warm while she boiled like a frog in silence. Behind the scenes, Connor was busy. He met with an estate lawyer in an old brick building downtown. The office smelled like stale paper and aging ambition. They reviewed the deed to the house, the refinance documents from 2 years prior, when Lydia had happily signed everything while running late to a hot yoga session. Is she aware of this reassignment? The attorney asked, flipping through the paperwork. Connor smiled. That's the point. I want her completely unaware. It was done within an hour. The title shifted from their names to a trust solely in his name. Quiet, irrevocable, legally sound. Back home, Lydia made TikToks about candle holders and false centerpieces. She had no idea that the very roof over her head no longer belonged to her, not even in part. And then Noah joined the performance. He strolled into the kitchen after school, laughing as he grabbed a soda. Yo, Mom runs this place. Dad's just the guy who does the Costco runs. Connor stirred his coffee. Sound about right, he said, but his hand trembled. He placed the spoon down gently, as if the weight of it might snap the last nerve in his body. That night, after the house had gone dark, he drove 18 minutes to his sister Rachel's place. She opened the door in a flannel robe, surprised but calm. I need you to hold on to something, he said, handing her a sealed manila folder. She didn't ask questions. They weren't that kind of siblings. She read the label, if anything happens, and nodded once. No drama, no tears, just trust. You okay? She asked softly. I will be, Connor said. Soon. Back at the house, Lydia was snoring. Noah's room flickered with the glow of some screen. The place hummed with artificial peace. Connor stood in the hallway and stared at the walls. The framed photos. The height marks on the pantry door. Not with rage. With distance. And Connor Mercer with distance was lethal. The next day, Lydia tried to buy a $1,200 outdoor sectional online. Her card failed. Twice. She even entered the number manually. Still nothing. She assumed it was a tech issue. She called Connor while he sat in a meeting with a tax strategist. The card's acting up again. Weird, right? Declined twice. I mean, it's probably a security thing. Flagged it or something. Can you fix it? I'll check into it, Connor replied flatly. Might be a security flag. Lydia huffed. Whatever. Just take care of it, okay? He hung up, turned back to the tax guy, smiled. That night, the tension finally surfaced. Dinner was quiet. Lydia picked at her asparagus. Noah scrolled his phone. Finally, she set her fork down. Okay, seriously. What's going on? Connor looked up. What do you mean? Don't play dumb. The credit card's frozen. Grocery card didn't work last week. I tried to log into savings. Account not found. What is happening? He tilted his head, voice calm. Maybe we've been spending too much. She scoffed. Oh, please. You, Mr. Spreadsheet, suddenly forgets how to budget. I'll check into it, he said again. And he did. Quietly. Systematically. The tuition account at Noah's school? Rerouted. Gone were the auto payments from a joint account. Gone was the company scholarship that Connor had used to shave 25% off tuition. He killed it all. The invoice came in 3 days later. $6,830 due immediately. No discount. No warning. Lydia slammed it on the table. What the hell is this? Connor barely looked up. Maybe it's a clerical error. Noah's tuition isn't paid, Connor. They removed the discount. They took your employer off the record. You did this. He stood up, slowly, looked her dead in the eye. You were clear about roles, Lydia. You run the house. I just pay the bills. So I've adjusted my responsibilities accordingly. Noah walked in at that exact moment. When are we booking stuff for fall break? He asked, clueless. Connor smiled. Ask your mom. She runs this place. Lydia laughed stiffly. Noah laughed too. But Connor didn't. Because behind those words, beneath the surface, she was unraveling. And he wasn't done. It was a Thursday. The kind of autumn day that tricked you. Gray skies, light drizzle, cold breeze crawling under your collar. Lydia and Noah were out running errands. She wanted new planters. He wanted fast food. Connor waited until the driveway was empty. The locksmith arrived exactly on time. Early 30s, beard, tool belt, hoodie under a vest, and eyes that didn't ask questions. All the locks, Connor said. Front, back, garage side. And I want the keypads wiped. I'll program the codes myself. The locksmith raised an eyebrow, but nodded. Professionals like him didn't need explanations. They recognized the tone of a man who wasn't messing around. As the locks changed and deadbolts turned, Connor moved upstairs and packed. Not much. One suitcase, a duffel, and a laptop bag. He left the clothes she'd bought him, the furniture they picked together, even the framed photo of their wedding day sitting face down on the dresser. He didn't take memories. He took freedom. By 3:42 p.m., he stood at the porch with new keys in hand, the locksmith already gone. He looked at the blue shutters Lydia insisted on painting colonial navy, the hanging fern she forgot to water, the porch light she never cleaned. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a completed project. When Lydia and Noah pulled up 3 minutes later, Connor was already gone. Hotel, key card in his jacket. Exit plan finalized. She didn't scream right away. At first, it was disbelief. Lydia twisted her key once. Twice. Nothing. She tried the spare. Still nothing. She told Noah to try his. He shrugged, earbuds in, half listening. Battery issue? No, Lydia snapped. Try again. Nothing. And then they saw it. A plain white envelope, taped square to the front door. Inside the mailbox were 2 more envelopes. No logos. No return addresses. Just 2 names in black ink. Lydia. Noah. She tore hers open first, her hands shaking. This house is no longer yours. All ownership has been reassigned. You mocked a provider. Now you provide. No signature. No warmth. Just cold, clean truth. Lydia's breath hitched. Her knees buckled as the realization sank in. Noah silently opened his. Words matter. A man isn't just a wallet. Think hard before you become one. No threats. No lecture. Just a mirror. Is this even legal? Lydia hissed, pacing on the porch. He can't do this. Noah didn't answer. His lips were parted slightly, hands trembling. He wasn't looking at his mother anymore. He was staring at the truth, etched in black ink on folded paper. Inside, the house was still. No footsteps. No heat. No chaos. Only silence. Outside, reality thundered in Lydia's chest like a drum she couldn't silence. She scrambled. Called his phone. Voicemail. Tried again. Blocked. That night, they stayed at her sister Felicia's condo. Blow-up mattress. 1 set of sheets. No clue what had just happened. But it wasn't over. At 6:17 a.m. the next day, an email arrived from Noah's school. Subject: immediate payment required. Overdue tuition. No discount. No linked account. No fallback. Only one name on the billing file. Lydia R. Mercer. Status: delinquent. She choked on her coffee. Tried to log into their old bank. Access denied. No savings. No credit. No backup. She called the school in a panic. They explained it politely. Connor had withdrawn the company's sponsorship. The scholarship was canceled. Future payments were now under a private trust account, held solely by the father. And then Noah asked quietly, Can I call him? Lydia paused. Just half a second too long. You blocked him? Noah said flatly. No, he blocked me. She replied quickly. Noah didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just walked away. Closed his door softly. That softness. It was worse than slamming. By 8 a.m., Lydia was parked outside Connor's old office, chewing a fingernail and rehearsing fury. She stormed up to the front desk. I need to speak to Connor Mercer. The receptionist blinked. Mr. Mercer took early retirement last week. Cleaned out his desk. Didn't leave a forwarding address. Lydia stood frozen. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her phone buzzed. No new messages. No clues. Just a blank silence that grew heavier by the minute. That night, she called Connor's sister Rachel. No answer. She texted her lawyer. No response yet. She scrolled through old emails. Nothing. No breadcrumb trail. Just emptiness. She had no house. No access. No husband. And a teenage son who had started to see her for exactly what she'd become. The punchline in a joke Connor had stopped laughing at. 3 days later, a knock on Felicia's door changed everything. It was a quiet Monday morning when the doorbell rang. Lydia opened it expecting an Amazon package or a late food delivery. Instead, she found a courier holding a thick manila envelope and a signature pad. From Everett and Langston, ma'am, he said. She signed without even looking. Inside the envelope was the sound of finality. Letterhead. Clean. Sharp. Precise. To Lydia R. Mercer. On behalf of our client, Mr. Connor L. Mercer, please be advised of the following. The residential property located at 114 Sycamore Hill Lane has been legally reassigned to an irrevocable trust, exclusively owned and managed by Mr. Mercer. Your name was removed from the title during a refinance transaction on June 12, 2023, to which you consented via signed documentation. As of today, you no longer hold legal ownership, co-ownership, or claim to the aforementioned property. You have 30 days to vacate or submit a formal rental application to remain, subject to approval and market rate evaluation. Clause 7b. Back rent is not waived and may be collected retroactively. Clause 11. The college trust for Noah Mercer remains untouched and protected under a separate trust. Only the trustee may approve fund use. Lydia stood in the kitchen, gripping the letter with fingers that couldn't stop trembling. The words blurred as her breath caught in her throat. She read it 3 times. The legal tone stripped away all illusion. The house was gone. The money was isolated. Even Noah's future had been sealed away from her reach. She didn't scream this time. She howled, like a wild animal, sensing the cage door had slammed shut behind her. She didn't call her lawyer. She didn't cry on Felicia's couch. Instead, she drove, on instinct, to the one person she believed might still give her an explanation. Rachel. Connor's sister opened the door slowly. She was in jeans and a loose sweatshirt, holding a mug of black coffee. She didn't flinch. She'd been expecting this moment. Lydia shoved the letter forward. What the hell is this, Rachel? What did he do? Rachel sipped her coffee calmly, then stepped outside and closed the door behind her. It's exactly what it says. He took everything. The accounts, the house. He even weaponized Noah. Rachel raised her hand, not in aggression, just to cut the storm. Stop, she said gently. He didn't weaponize anyone. He protected himself. Lydia's jaw dropped. You think this is some noble act? He blindsided me. Rachel's eyes turned to steel. Do you remember Thanksgiving 3 years ago? Lydia blinked. What? 3 years ago, after dinner, when you told Connor to go sit at the kids' table with his spreadsheets. When you called him a walking checkbook. You remember that. Lydia's face froze. The memory slammed into her chest like a freight train. Connor remembered. Rachel said quietly. He always did. He remembered every eye roll. Every time you interrupted him. Every time you laughed about how powerless he seemed in front of Noah. I didn't mean it. But you said it. And he never forgot. He didn't shout. He didn't fight. He waited. That was your mistake. You thought silence meant surrender. It meant strategy. Lydia stepped back, her pulse thudding. So this is revenge. Rachel shook her head. No, this is relief. And then she turned, stepped inside, and closed the door, gently but with finality. Lydia stood on the porch like a ghost with nowhere to haunt. Her marriage wasn't ending. It had already ended. She just hadn't seen the tombstone. That night, she sat on the floor of Felicia's guest bedroom, the envelope beside her, her phone glowing in her lap. She reread old texts from Connor, looking for signs, for clues. But all she found was his absence, and how loud it had become. Noah didn't say much anymore. He walked through the apartment like a shadow, avoided eye contact, didn't ask about school or money or the house. And that was the worst part. Not the house, not the bank accounts, not the lawyer letters. It was the silence. Her son's silence. Connor's silence. The world she thought she ruled had gone quiet. She thought she'd lost her throne. She hadn't realized it was never hers to begin with. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the wind didn't whistle. It pressed against your ribs like it wanted to see you break. Connor sat in a booth at Miller's Diner, the same place he used to take Noah when he was little. Root beer floats and grilled cheese. Back when a smile came easy and praise mattered more than pride. Now he stirred his coffee absently, half-eaten plate of corned beef hash in front of him. He didn't like the food. That wasn't the point. Across the street, the playground swing creaked in the wind. Then the bell over the diner door rang. Noah, taller than Connor remembered, shoulders tense, backpack slung low, hoodie still zipped to his neck like armor. He spotted Connor and walked in slowly, each step like it took effort. He didn't order anything, didn't even take off his backpack, just sat across from his father like a kid, trying to figure out if he still belonged. They sat in silence for nearly a minute. Finally, Noah spoke. I didn't mean it. His voice cracked, not from tears, from truth. That thing I said, he added. About you. Connor didn't move. I was just joking. I didn't think you'd. You didn't think I'd what? Connor asked softly. Noah swallowed hard. That you disappear. Connor reached into his jacket and pulled out a small navy envelope. Slid it across the table. Your tuition is still covered, he said. This debit card links to the trust. Use it for school, food, books. Not sneakers. Noah stared at it like it was made of glass. He didn't touch it. I didn't know what I was saying, he murmured. Connor nodded slowly. But you said it. And your mother laughed. Noah looked down. His shoulders sagged. There was no smirk now. No performance. Just shame. They sat for a while longer. The fluorescent lights hummed. A waitress refilled Connor's coffee. Neither man spoke. Then Noah asked the question that had been burning. Are you ever coming back? Connor looked out the window. The swing had stopped moving. No, he said. This is home now. Noah blinked. But why? Connor didn't raise his voice. Didn't inject emotion. He just answered like it was math. Because peace doesn't come cheap. And I earn mine. Noah finally reached for the envelope. Held it tight. Said nothing more. Connor placed a 20 under the salt shaker and stood up. You're not alone, he said. But I'm not your shadow anymore. Understand that. Noah nodded, eyes glassy. I do. Connor gave one last look. Just a flicker of something in his eyes. Then turned and walked out. No dramatics. No hug. No tears. Just a clean exit, like every move before. 2 weeks later, Lydia stood outside the now empty house she used to call hers, watching as a moving truck pulled away. New tenants would arrive by next week. She was staying in a rental now, working part-time at her cousin's interior design shop. Nobody called her queen of the house anymore. The silence followed her like a second skin. Noah barely spoke unless necessary. The trust covered his school, his books, his meals. But the emotional thread between mother and son had frayed. She thought she'd build a kingdom. She didn't realize Connor was the architect. And when she mocked the man with the blueprint, she lost more than her crown. She lost the roof over her head. Connor walked a quiet trail by the river near his new place. Leaves crunched underfoot. In one hand, he held a copy of the letter Noah had sent him a week ago. It read, Dad, I've been thinking about everything. About what I said. About how I laughed. You weren't just the guy who paid for things. You were the guy who kept everything from falling apart. I get it now. And I want to do better. Not just at school. At being your son. Noah. Connor folded the letter. Slid it into his jacket pocket. He didn't cry. He smiled. Because sometimes the deepest revenge is finally being seen and walking away without needing to look back ever again.